Ligue 2 or Ligue 2, Ligue 2, I don't know French, is French football's second tier. It has some stunning stadiums, some good grounds, and some flawed fields. So, here they are. We start with a unique stadium that goes by the name Stade de la Licorne, which basically means Unicorn Stadium. The site on which it was built is believed to have been a Roman-era unicorn farm. Most roofs at the stadium are there primarily to shelter from the rain or sun, but these nearly vertical roofs are there mainly to shelter from the wind. It looks great regardless. Parc des Sports has in the past been a prominent athletics venue, hence the track. It's right near the Swiss border and so is surrounded by some very Swiss scenery. The interesting wavy roof designs on both of the bigger stands are doing their best job to replicate the majesty of the surrounding mountains, and failing. Stade Armand Cesari is on the island of Corsica, which is actually closer to mainland Italy than mainland France, hence the Italian-sounding names. It has a bit of a dark history, with a poorly built temporary stand collapsing and killing 18 people back in the early 90s. Nowadays, after some major renovations in the late 2000s, it's a solid modern football stadium, and more importantly, structurally sound. Matmut Atlantique. This is one of my favourite stadiums in the country, and a big part of that is that distinctive exterior. Instead of a few big pillars holding up the overhanging roof, there is a forest of pillars. On the inside, it's an elegant white and grey colour scheme. They know how to make a stadium in Bordeaux. My one gripe with them is that they clearly copied the shirt design of my hometown club, Melbourne Victory. They must have used a time machine. Stade Michel Dornano. It's not quite on the levels of the last one, but this too has a rather nice exterior, in a completely different way. The pitch is looking good. I see it's recovered from when a few years back the stadium hosted the World Equestrian Games. That actually surprised me to hear that, because generally you use a stadium for sports that people want to go and watch. Now to Dijon, where the condiments are delicious. Not quite on par with English mustard, but much less dangerous to consume. Stade Gaston Girard was a multi-purpose stadium for most of its life, but in the late 2000s was converted. You can still see some remnants of the old configuration on the outside, but on the inside it could have been born yesterday, which, unlike for a human, is typically a compliment for a stadium. Stade des Alpes. Can you guess which geographical feature this stadium's named after? Yes, it's Europe's highest mountain range, the name of which escapes me. The Hindu Kush, I think. To make the most of this mountainous environment, it not only has a translucent roof, which plenty of stadiums have, but this is a proper wraparound glass roof that allows spectators a great view of the scenery. Absolutely stunning. Stade de Roudourou. The exterior looks cold with corrugated iron and bare concrete on show, but the interior, after installing some new seats a few years back, is quite vibrant. The stadium might seem small, but it has a capacity greater than 3 times the town's population. That has to be one of the largest disparities in Europe. Stade Francis Labessia. You can sort of tell just by looking at it that it used to have a track around the field, and that one of the 2 big stands, this one, is the only survivor of the original design. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the areas behind the goals are so sparse because they occasionally install temporary seating. It certainly isn't for looks. Stade Océan. Ocean in name, ocean in nature. Not only because the exterior is a vivid shade of ocean blue, but the roof looks like a wave, I guess. Speaking of the roof, the fact that it's photovoltaic means that it's an eco-friendly stadium that produces enough energy to meet its needs and then some, which helps save the rhinos, one of the ocean's many treasures. Stade Saint-Symphorien. Interesting how the stands along the sidelines are actually smaller than the triple-decker stands at either end. But since 2019 it's been a constantly evolving stadium. I particularly like the recent addition of these corner sections. They are just part of a grander scheme that will eventually leave the stadium looking something like this. Pretty cool. Stade des Courtiers. It mightn't be immediately apparent, but this stadium is really just a baby Stadio Luigi Ferraris. The exterior that features some pale pink panels looks nothing like it, but on the inside you can see the similarities, particularly the corners. No, it's not a rip-off, really. It was actually designed by the same firm. They've done a good job. Stade Rennais Gaillard. I'm sorry guys, but you may just have yourselves the worst stadium in the league. It's not horrendous, but a lot of the seating is temporary, and the main stands are quite rudimentary. At least the gravity is on par with the rest of the league. Good gravity here. Stade Sébastien Chalatet. This stadium is as much of a multi-purpose venue as you can possibly get. It took over from Stade de France as the primary athletics venue in the country. Obviously that was too big anyway. Paris FC has been here since the mid-2000s, a third-tier club arrived this year, and although it's not technically the same venue, there is actually a volleyball arena underneath the stadium. Nusse de Camp. Built right near their old home is a stadium that is both the newest and smallest stadium in the league, but they no longer have to share it with the rugby team. That is one of the more unusual stands going round. I'm guessing the people that built that roof are not in the stadium business, but overall it's a nice little ground. Stade Robert d'Auchan. For a second I thought this huge car park was for the stadium, which would be rare in Europe, but it's attached to the huge cemetery next door. Wait, why am I talking about car parks? Like quite a few stadiums in the league, it features 2 permanent stands along the sidelines, as well as some temporary looking stands behind each end. Not bad, not great. Stade Paul Lignon has been undergoing a renovation since 2019, so I'm not exactly sure of what state it will end up in. But I hope they leave this very distinctive stand to the west untouched. It looks kinda cool, not just the staggered nature of the roof, but the stonework down below as well. It's a decent stadium as is. Stade Geoffroy Guichard. Like a surprisingly large number of stadiums, it was built on the side of a garbage dump, but nowadays it's one of the best stadiums in the league. The stadium has evolved into a distinctive design. Unlike the uniform exterior, on the inside, no 2 sides are the same, including a huge terrace and an interesting corner section. Stade Auguste Bernal is pretty much your standard modern medium-sized stadium. On the inside, a double-tiered continuous seating bowl, functional but a little on the boring side. It wasn't quite built from scratch in this form. It was a major renovation in the late 90s that transformed it into what it is today. Stade du Hainaut. This is like a more interesting version of the last one. The metallic exterior looks great, and there's a much more vibrant, all-red interior. Obviously it's just the club's colours, as was the last one, but it's the fact that everything is red, even the underside of the roof. I love it. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, why not subscribe? You probably won't regret it, but no guarantees. Thanks for watching, have a good one.